Okay, great, great. So somebody already mentioned we're good to go. Good to go. Let's go. So yeah, I was talking initially about my own background in engineering, mechanical engineering as a student. I'm a graduate in mechanical engineering basically, and also I've had about 15 years experience in supply chain. And I made some comparison between supply chain and human resources. Why I'm in this. Supply chain generally is a kind of profession that covers the entire industry, regardless of what the function is. We're all over the place. So this is the reason why I know so much about hiring and the fact that a lot of the things that we do in supply chain is actually hiring suppliers. So I wanted to look at it this way: supply chain and human resources are parallels. Human resources hire employees, supply chain hires suppliers. So that is the reason why I'm into this. But beyond that, I'm passionate about mentoring, coaching. I guess I also am an immigrant here in Canada, and honestly, I encountered a lot of situations where people were struggling with job search. I did, I worked, survival job for some times. Though after just a month, I got a job in my profession. Thank God. But like a lot of people are going through these job search things for 2 years. Even some people are more than that, and they haven't still been able to break in. But my experience and my looking into these challenges, because I have some people or my friends who actually had the same challenge and they're not really getting through. That's one of those things that inspired me to actually look into this. Besides the fact that I'm an entrepreneur as well, I like to see where I can help to make a difference. This is really what got me into what I'm doing currently. So that's about my introduction, guys. Let's get into this. Um, so the approach that I'm using here to help with this particular challenge is actually industry inspired. It is basically the continuous improvement approach to doing things, which I've basically broken it down into these: doing, measuring, learning, and acting. Because if you don't do these four things, the potential is that you just be hitting your head against the wall and you don't know what is wrong, and you just continue doing this stuff. This leads to what I would call frustration. Isn't that what about Einstein or as Isaac Newton called madness? Doing the same thing every time and expecting a different result, right? It's crazy. Basically, it leads to madness. So, and you know what? I'll quickly tell you one thing. This is the way that I've been told to actually approach job search. It probably is what you've been doing for years. This is what I learned also the way to do job search. Okay, you have this master resume, and then you look for these job opportunities, and then you tweak your resume, master resume, to apply to these jobs. Get a cover letter, hopefully, and then you will land a job interview. Voila. So maybe when you go to this job interview, you would get an opportunity to actually, you probably land a job. This is what we've learned over time. But what I have found out is this is really not working, especially for foreign trained professionals here in Canada. It is not working. Just a second here. Let me quickly. I don't know what I'm messing around with here. So I call this the contingent job search. You can call it whatever. You can call it online job search, but I also call it one thing. I call it paperwork. Yeah, why do I call it paperwork? So paperwork is anything that the human resources folks calls job search. It is job search according to the HR people, the process people. I call them gatekeepers, you know, because pretty much that's what they are doing. And I can go on and on about how HR has messed up these things. And even a lot of organizations are not relying on HR anymore to get the right candidate for their roles because they know this process is not working. And this is the reason why a lot of you guys are having these issues where you send in this resume and this resume just going into the black hole. Nobody responds back to you. But we'll get to that. Let's talk about the sanity of the immigrants, the foreign trained professionals, because at some point this issue becomes the issue of wellness. This is how it goes. You start, putting this resume like they say you submit these applications. Sometimes you don't get response, and sometimes you get responses. Second interview, no feedback, and then you continue submit applications again and all over again. Interesting. One of my clients that I talked with, I engaged about last month. I asked him, how many applications have you submitted? In the course of 3 months, that you've been looking. He said 1,000. And then how many responses do you get? No response. This is what it looks like, and I know a lot of people are going through that as well. You do all these things that you've been taught about how to job search in Canada. It's a lot different. It's totally different in Canada. So this is what people are going through. And if they continue doing the same thing, what they end up get going through, I mean, what happens to them, eventually is job search depression. Now, you might say, oh, wait a minute, that's really dramatic. How does, searching for jobs leads to job search depression? Well, frustration, because eventually this person will withdraw from ever job searching again. And it happens when they've gone to like 6 months into this job search in Canada. Because I've worked with quite a number of people, so I know when this thing happens. And what happens is that even when they see a job opportunity that really, like, if this job, like this job description is cut from heaven for them, they would ignore it. Why? Because they are avoiding the pains. They've all this while they've been going through this thing is all pains, emotional pains, by the way. You have all this excitement, this great opportunity, you submitted a wonderful resume, and then you went for an interview, it looks like it's going well, and all of a sudden nobody responded back to you, no feedback. And then you thought, well, what's going on here? Is it I'm not good enough or what? And the crazy one is they send you this feedback, that is providing really nothing in terms of feedback, which I call it layered response, because they're hiding something from you. Is the reason why they're writing it that way, and that's HR at work again, paperwork. They won't tell you what is wrong, and they just tell you, oh, you're a wonderful candidate, but guess what? We're not hiring you. Okay, let's move on from that, because that's really something that also I'm very emotional about. So I normally take this poll where I ask people how many, out of maybe the last 3 jobs that you've worked on, how many of them actually did you get through either, recruitment agency, online job board, professional network, or maybe through friends and family. So I actually have that same poll for you guys, if you can help me with that, because I want to, see from your own perspective as well, to know if this is something that has changed or is still the same scenario. This is the result I got from the last one that I did, but let me stop this share and show you the poll that I want you to help me with. Okay, so I'm gonna show you this poll from Slido. So this is Slido. Okay. So I'm not sure, I don't know if you're seeing my screen, but let me see if I could quickly figure that out. Okay. So I'm going to share my screen. This is a Slido poll that I would like you to respond to. You see there's a number there. Let me refresh it. So this is the number. The number to join is hashtag 50421. I'm going to put it in there. So go to slido.com and join this poll, and then help us to respond to this poll here. Okay. So I'm going to put the hashtag here in the chat box. Okay. So 50421. 50421. That's the poll number. Just use that number to go into that poll and respond, please. Okay, so you have the poll is active now. If you can respond, I don't see any response yet. So I'm sure you can see the responses as people are responding. Yeah, multiple options allowed. So remember the last three jobs, pick each method that you have used for the last three jobs. So that will be three responses from you. Three responses from you. Okay, still on, guys. So pretty much we have recruitment agencies, family and friends at par. I don't believe this. Online job was 13%. The last one. Really? Okay. Remember, there's still newspaper ads. There's cold calls. And then there is the walk-ins. Okay, I'll give you like 2 minutes more. So I've made adjustment. You can actually select three options now. So for the last three jobs. Okay. This is very interesting. Honestly, I didn't expect this outcome. Hmm. Okay, I think that's about it. I will leave it. I will leave it so people can still make put in their responses. But I think we can go on from here. As you can see, family and friends, family and friends. So all that on your left hand, family and friends. And then when you add professional network to that, and then you add recruitment agencies to that, that actually says something. I hope you can see what we're getting at here. Let's move on though. Okay. Just a second, please. I'm coming. So at this point, I'd like to let you know that if you have questions, there's a question and answer box. There's a question and answer box. It's just there for you. Ask your question because I can go in once in a while and go look at the questions while I'm doing the presentation, so I can answer your questions. Let's go. So I've done a little bit introduction about myself and all that stuff. Let's go for the main stuff here. We already done this poll. Talked about the situation with the job search challenges. Okay, so this is the poll I did the last time. Similar to what I just asked you guys to do. Clearly you can see that there are two dominant methods here. You can see family and friends, which also showed up in what you guys already polled there, where we see that family and friends is taking almost 75%. That might change, depends on what we see from people. I'll keep monitoring from my own end there. Now you see that though family and friends seems to shoot way up, there's also online job boards. Online job boards. So online job board is also dominant. So these are really the this is what I was expecting, but apparently what I'm seeing something else from what we saw there. Okay, so here is what they call the hiring pyramid. So hiring pyramid is very fundamental in the way you have to look at job search going forward. Okay. Remember I talked to you about paperwork. Again, I'll repeat what paperwork is. Paperwork is the way that HR defines job search. Okay. So you have to watch out for that. Now, what is going on here is this. You see the way that job seekers are looking. Job seekers are looking at job search from what they see in the advertisements on the job boards. Okay. Whereas employers are actually doing it from the opposite direction. The employers are hiring from inside out. So they go through the networks they have internally, people who are doing temporary jobs with them, people who are consulting terms or consulting engagements with them, um, their current employees, their friends. That's what that second one is saying there. They will reach out to their employees. Do you know somebody that can do this job? Okay. That doesn't work. Maybe they go to an event, they could engage with their colleagues and say, oh, like maybe even in their chat, they might say, oh, well, we have this project we're actually gonna launch. We'll probably will be looking at hiring, blah, blah, blah. So this other person already knows that they're hiring. That word is not out there, it's just word of the mouth from person to person. Now, professional organizations who could know about these things because guess what? These guys are serving on the boards of these professional organizations. So apparently, the folks who are members of that professional organization or who are board members, they know that these guys are working in some initiatives and they're going to be needing people. So employers will reach out to these professional organizations to let them know that, what, we were looking for people, we're trying to fill some roles on a new project. Now, they also go to recruitment agencies, but usually they go to recruitment agencies when they do not have any other choice. Like they still don't want to go out there, but they would like a situation where they have people who have already been pre-qualified by recruitment agencies. So you see, recruitment agencies, they are driven for profit. They will take on anyone who is qualified, and they will help them to go through their resume. They will even massage the resume so that the employer will be willing to interview that candidate. They are doing it for their own profit because they know if that person got hired, they get paid. Okay. But finally, this thing goes out there. Okay. And they put it out there. But the truth of the matter is this: it is possible that while going through all of these channels prior to putting it out there, they already found a suitable candidate. And this is what a lot of people who are job searching through the, you know, regular approach are missing. Because I tell you what, from my experience, a lot of people that I have helped and a lot of people that have not really gone through to the final stage where they made an offer, what I've seen really is this: that the competitor, their competitor for that job, is an insider. Is somebody who probably knew somebody, or somebody who is working already with that same company, or maybe he's a supplier, somebody inside, somebody who knows an insider, or somebody who's an insider, the truth. So you see here that what the employers are doing is different from what the job seekers are doing. Apparently, you're going to be wasting a lot of energy in this process because you're only, after all, you're only seeing the opportunities that have gone through a lot of people already, and they probably have found somebody, then they put it out there for process sake. That's what happens most of the time. They've gotten somebody, but this thing has to go out. I work in procurement. It happens every time. The sponsor already have found somebody through his network, has found somebody who is suitable for that opportunity. And he has to go through procurement. Oh my God, these guys again, gatekeepers. The same thing with HR people. The hiring manager already found somebody through his network, and it only goes to HR just to fulfill the purpose of policies, just to fulfill process. So you see a situation where people are sending thousands of applications online and they're not getting any response. This is it. This is what is going on. Because the hiring manager who actually needs this person, who is going to manage this person, already found somebody that he's going to be comfortable with through his network. And it just has to go out and publish his thing so that HR will be happy. Okay. So this is what is going on most of the time. I'll tell you that because it's from experience. I've seen it with a lot of people I work with. Just a couple of weeks back, one of my clients said, "Oh, this opportunity is great. I'd like to apply to it." And then what happened is this: he is already a supplier to that company. Okay. And then we say, okay, you know what? Reach out to your contact because we know this thing, we know this hiring pyramid, this is how it works. But unfortunately, sometimes if you reach out too late, you already got somebody. And this is what happened to this client. They told the person who he reached out to his contact within the company, said, oh, we already found somebody. We're interviewing somebody already, by the way. There's advert still online. An advert is going on online. Now they already got somebody who is going through an interview. Like I don't know if it was an internal candidate or even an external, but what information we got was that there's somebody who is already has been whatever has been nominated or probably shadowing that job already and is already interviewed. Why did you put this thing out? Fulfill paperwork. Okay, that is what is going on. And that's what's going on with a lot of people who are getting frustrated because they are going through the right channel. They're going through the job boards. They're going through what HR told them is how to do job search. And that's why when I see a lot of people make this noise about resume online on LinkedIn and all that, all this jitsu about resume and all that, it's dead on arrival because they already found somebody through their network. God forbid that you wasted all your time, you put up this resume, and then you only found out that, oh, they already have somebody anyways. You know, why that? That's exactly what my client told me. Like, oh, Abby, they told me that there's somebody they already interviewing for this job. Do I need to waste my time applying? This is what is going on. But if you don't reach out, you won't know. Okay. So there's one thing I need to point out here, especially for foreign trained professionals, you know, the so-called immigrants. So what is going on here? Actually, I asked one of the guys who attended my session very early when I was still developing my solutions. I asked him, what do you think? So I'm gonna ask you that same question here, actually. So you see that there is a lot of different channels that these guys are going through. Sometimes they're going through all of these at the same time, even while they have it advertised. They're going through all these channels. Now, there's a barrier somewhere here. I want you to find that barrier for me. There's a barrier for anyone who is foreign trained in this pyramid. Where is that barrier? Is what I would ask you. Between what point and what point is that barrier? If you can let me know in the chat box. Okay, just to make sure that everybody is listening. Okay, so I'm going to write the question here. Where is the barrier to foreign trained professionals in this pyramid? Okay, so Jennifer already replied. Great, great. See you on top of it. Hmm. Yeah, yeah, you guys are smart professionals, and it's true. So we'll leave it at that. It's true. We can move on. There is a barrier between the recruitment agencies and the professional organizations, and the reason is this: you have access to recruitment agencies, right? You have access to recruitment agencies because they are for profit. You can go to recruitment agencies and they will accept your resume, but you can't go to professional organizations and say, "Yeah, well, I'm looking for a job." No, unless you are a member of that professional organization. If you're not a member of that professional organization, there's no way you're gonna access the job opportunities. But what is also of utmost importance is that that barrier we're talking about is a trust barrier. TRUST is a trust barrier. You know, the interesting thing is that this trust barrier I'm talking about here is somebody who attended my session, because when I was developing my solutions, I would do this type of things. I've done this. This is what I'm doing currently now. I've done it, like a long time ago. So I asked this guy, okay, what does he see here? And I was like amazed when he said it. Like it was like, voila, this is it. This guy said there's a trust barrier in this pyramid here. That if you have not been able to gain access into this channel in some place, then nobody trusts you. And this is what is going on in Canada with a lot of foreign trained professionals. Nobody trusts your experience. If you have 20 years of experience from wherever, the only thing I've noticed is that there are kind of bias towards United Kingdom's experience or bias towards United States experience. But if you come from any other place with your 20 years experience, nobody's gonna give you a chance because they don't trust it. And this is what is going on in the market. So when you're throwing your resume out there and you are excited about this job posting, you need to have that at the back of your mind, that guess what, you need to break that trust barrier. If you don't break it, then it's going to be tough. As a matter of statistics, the success rate for online job application is 2%. Okay, out of 100 applications, the chances you only get two responses. And these two responses doesn't mean you got the job. These two responses could even be the auto-generated messages from their computers. Okay, so let's move on. Okay, so here is me getting into the lean job search thing, because lean basically is about cutting down on waste. We've seen there is a waste in this process. The waste here, we know what is causing it. We know one major issue now is the trust issue. like they don't trust your experience. When you hear all of this, when I started this thing, I thought that, oh yeah, well, like just like every other person, oh, it's communication barriers, it is experience. Oh, they don't have Canadian work experience. Oh, they don't have Canadian qualifications. But all of this thing boils down to one thing: trust. They don't trust your qualifications. They don't trust your Canadian. They don't trust your experience. They don't trust whatever. Just put that trust first. They don't trust it. So this is the reason why a lot of people are having challenges. But how do you overcome that? Basically in project management, or when you're using a lean approach, it has to be about there's what we call Jimba in lean. Jimba means that you have to go out. you know if you're solving a problem, you just don't sit down at the office and be proposing your own solution. You have to go and meet the customers. You have to go and this is actually what I did when I was developing the solution. I reach out to HR people. I reach out to hiring managers, senior people within my profession, by the way. I would go meet with them, have a chat and all that, and we discuss, okay, this, and I asked them specifically, why do you think foreign trained professionals are having these issues? And they tell me, this is it, And some of it I picked it up, from working with job seekers who are going through challenges, and they will try to kind of, okay, so basically what is going on here, we'll reach out to somebody inside and say, okay, you know what, we got to this stage, and then all of a sudden we didn't hear anything, or they send all this garbage, that doesn't mean anything. And what we found out is the things that I'm talking about here. Now, these are the things that we got from those stakeholders, those people who have influence over the job, the recruitment process. Okay. So, of course, these are usually the corporates, the executives, of course, the hiring managers, the HR specialists, recruiters, service providers. But the interesting thing is that the job applicants themselves do have very major influence over the outcome of the process. And I'll tell you how. So here is the expectations of the hiring manager. It's pretty straightforward. They don't really care that much beyond, okay, the person has this domain expertise. Okay, this person has this drive, like they're very, hungry, and they're passionate about their stuff. Then the other thing being social proof, and this is where it becomes scary. So even if you have great expertise from Nigeria, from India, from wherever, then you come to Canada, and guess what? Yeah, you have great expertise and all that, but how they know? This is just two sheet of paper, right? And if it's before the interview stage, there is that doubt. Okay. And I tell you what HR people would do. HR people will go to your LinkedIn profile. They will gonna look there to actually figure out what that social proof is. Okay, maybe, oh, this person after all would have some stuff online through which they would know if indeed that this sheet of paper here matches up with what this actual person is. You see the trust thing working out there because they do not trust. So they will go on your LinkedIn and then try to figure out if this person really has a capability or it has a social proof. I try to explain social proof to people. Social proof is so important, for foreign trained professionals, that if you don't have it in Canada, you're going to struggle to get a job. Just saying it bluntly. You need to have some people who are within your network, your close people, right? Like people who are you're networking with on regular basis, who are already working in the industry, who can actually testify of your capability. If all the guys you have around you right now are just people who are doing the same survival jobs, yeah, well, it's not going to go that far, because then you don't have people in the industry who actually can bring you. Remember the pyramid? They normally will ask their colleagues, their employees, if they have somebody who can do that job. And you better know somebody in the industry. If you don't know somebody, then it becomes more difficult. Okay, I think we got some questions here already. How does one account for gap in resume? Moved to Canada 6 months pregnant, had a baby, so that's a long time off work. During my maternity leave, did a couple of professional courses study, but how do I account for this gap in resume? Okay, so this person was off work for 6 months, had a baby. Yeah, well, that is what it is. You were off work for 6 months. Usually, when you have this kind of a gap, I will just basically include what you were doing as a professional in nature for that period, just to explain that gap. If you're working, like you said here, you had some professional courses that you were studying and stuff like that. So have that there. Going through some professional studies, while you were off work for that 6 months. And this type of things actually are things that come up from what a lot of HR people, paperwork again. Just nitpicking everything, on a resume. It doesn't make any sense. Even HR people out there are saying it that all of these things don't even count. Why are we bugging ourselves with all of this stuff if it doesn't really determine how great a person is in terms of their professional capability. Why are we bothering ourselves over it? And this is the reason why you have to look differently from the way you probably have been approaching job search. If you've been approaching job search as a paperwork, guess what? All you're going to be bogged down with is paperwork issues. But if you approach job search differently, the way the employers are approaching it, you see, we looked at that pyramid, you see the way they're approaching it, you won't be bothered about paperwork. This wouldn't be an issue because you have somebody that is speaking for you, like they're saying this is a great person. At that point, if you've crossed that trust barrier, nobody will really care about this 6 months. I mean, that's even very short to be concerned about it. So I hope I helped with that. But if you still think I haven't answered it, just let me know. Now, on social proof, is this tied with number of recommendation you have or the number? Well, if it's about number of recommendation on LinkedIn, well, yeah, I would say, yeah, as much as possible, have those recommendations in your LinkedIn. One of the things I actually recommend for people who are back home who are still kind of, transitioning is make sure you get recommendations from everybody you have worked with, your suppliers, your customers, your supervisors, your colleagues, your professional associations, maybe executive members. Get recommendations if you like, if you possible. I mean, get like 10 recommendations. So when they go there, they see it, not they say this thing. And good thing with the resume is that with LinkedIn is that it shows that the person was your supervisor or the person was this or was that. So get my recommendation as much as possible. Definitely helps with social proof because you are better off than somebody who doesn't have any recommendation from anybody, especially during the pre-interview stage. They don't have all of the resources to be looking out for everybody, calling. Of course, they won't call somebody in Nigeria to ask them, about your professional capability. They will rather go online and see these things. So it's better you have it online, on LinkedIn, than you don't even have anything at all because that way, it's not helping. If you have recommendations, great. Okay, I hope I answered that too. Okay, so let's move on. So, in terms of expectations of the hiring manager, communication is very, very critical because as you know, we deal with customers and all that. And if you can't communicate clearly, especially during the interview stage, is usually an issue. But here's another issue actually, body language. Okay, let me switch on the light here. I think it's getting dark here. Okay, so communication, it is very critical, especially during the networking and then um, the interview stage. Communication, even that is much more important, is even the ones that doesn't involve anything that you say. A lot of times about the things that you not even say. Okay, your accent. It's one major one. It's not about what you said, it's just the way you said it, right? Body language, your body language. Actually, I'm going to tell you, during my work, I hire people, of course, into my team, and we do interviews. I tell you, we have a checklist. So aside from the question we're asking you, writing down all the stuff, we have a checklist where we actually will check out for some body language um, criteria. Okay, the whole essence of an interview is to figure out if you're going to be a fit within the organization. It's not more, it's well, some of it about what you know, but some of it about your ability to fit in. So we have this checklist. Oh, did the person interrupt? Check. Did the person lean? Does it sound like the person is interested or is it excited? Check. Does the person listen? That's very critical. Is the person listening, or you just had some things crammed into their head, about all these questions that they normally they have out there. Tell me about yourself. And the person didn't actually listen carefully or to take a pause, to understand the question, and then just went on blah 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 blah, and they're gonna have to watch for that. So we check and all that. So there's this separate checklist that we use in knowing if this person is gonna be a fit within our organization, just to let you know. Finally, of course, integrity or loyalty. This is also an issue for an immigrant because, of course, this person hasn't worked in Canada aside from the fact that, maybe they have some experience from where they're coming from, or maybe they have some survival jobs they worked on. That helps you because, of course, maybe your survival jobs, if you did well, if you do have relationships there, they'll be able to provide you with maybe references and stuff like that. So integrity is another level actually because there's no way they can figure that out unless maybe they reach out to your references back home, which is also another, um, you know, they're taking chances anyways. We're talking about thousands of miles away. So let's move on. HR. This is one of my pet peeves here. HR is a gatekeeper, you know, and I'll tell you because I'm also a gatekeeper. Okay. Like I told you earlier, HR and procurement, they are parallels. We hire suppliers, they hire us, and they hire employees. And I tell you what, based on that pyramid I showed you, it's just about fulfilling the process. A lot of the times, the sponsor of the projects that I'm hiring for, they already know the suppliers they want to work with. They all went to some workshop somewhere, and then some of them even tested their equipment already without involving procurement. So they already have a bias towards the guys that they're gonna select. So they just come through us, they come to procurement because we hire people too in procurement. They just go to HR, just fulfill process. That's all they're doing. So HR, they do have some influence process wise in that you can't really hire these people unless you go to HR. But beyond that, guess what? It's just paperwork. That's what HR people are interested in. It's all about companies, policies. Well, of course, a part of it ensuring this person is culturally fit within the environment. The companies and well, it's still all paperwork based on paperwork. Anyways, they have all these things they inserted into the job posting that they use in checking if the person is cultural fit. It's all a show. How is it possible the person just comes to this interview and just show off and all that? Oh, it's cultural fit, it's great, blah, blah, blah. And then he came to work and then, it's another story. So this thing is not working and it's just paperwork. The other thing being that they want to ensure there's a fair process. Basically, it's the reason why they do all this paperwork, making sure that the shortlisted candidates meet the job requirements. Okay, need to watch the time here. Okay, already. Okay, so for job applicants, the one thing I would like to let you know about job applicants is they have an expectation as well. Well, their expectation is that they get shortlisted for an interview. Of course, you get a job offer if they go to an interview. Of course, they get some feedback from the recruiters from the company. But all of this also still kind of depends on the job applicants themselves. Here's an example. If if all you're expecting is a job offer, you're not doing it right. Like the way I try to explain the psychological thing. if you go for an interview and all your eyes is on this job offer, if that job offer doesn't happen, then that's failure. But if you set your expectation differently, maybe your expectation is just to go to this place and meet these people and see maybe you can build relationship with them. How about that? I know it doesn't sound like, oh, I'm just here for a job, anyways, but it's not all about jobs. It's a journey. It's a journey. You need to appreciate this process. Okay. Because what I've seen with a lot of people that get frustrated is that if they are not appreciating this process, and what I mean by appreciating, I already talked about is the doing, the measuring, the acting, right? If they're not doing it, then they're just gonna be doing the same thing and expecting a different result, which we know where that leads to. That leads to job search depression and fatigue. So also getting the feedback. Of course, it's not happening with this company because of they don't have the resources to respond to everybody. So if your resume does happen to go through the black hole and doesn't show up, then you know something fundamental is wrong. Pretty much your resume is not working. And if you have been seeing that consistently with your job applications, then you need to fix it. And this is what I mean by appreciating the process. If you have been sending applications, you send 10 applications and nobody responded to you, then how about what is wrong with this resume? Maybe that should be something that you should be looking at rather than just keep sending this thing, wasting a lot of effort and not getting any result. Okay. Okay, so what you see in the poll that we just did, I haven't had the time to actually go back to that poll because I'm here, right? But what we've seen in that poll basically is that family and friends, I think it might be important that I actually check it. So we got family and friends at 75% at some point. Okay. What is happening there is basically referral. Referral. I'll say it again, referral. What we are seeing in that poll that you just answered, we show that family and friends is how most people got their last week jobs is because you were referred. And referral means that you have crossed the trust barrier. So when you get referred, then there's no issue of trust because guess what? People do business with whom they trust. So if somebody that I trust come to me and say, "Oh, this person's resume, I hope you can look at it. I think he's a great guy," I will definitely trust that person's resume because this is coming from somebody that I trust. So this is how this thing works. Uh, Referral is key, and I did dig into this referral thing through some research that was done by New York Post Times journalists, and these are some of the things that came out of my search into that. Analysis shows referred hires perform better, stay longer, and are quicker to integrate into our teams. That's Ernst and Young. As a matter of fact, Ernst and Young pays their employees huge amount of money if they got referred. I mean, if the candidate they referred got hired, and it happens recently. I did this presentation with one of my colleagues in supply chain, and after he reached out to one of his colleagues who was in Nigeria before and told him like he will like to get a referral through his company, which is by the way KPMG. Well, he was called for an interview after he requested for the referral through his former ex-colleague back from Nigeria. He got the job. Okay, so that says something right there. If this guy was just sending the resume like he has been taught in these settlement agencies, guess what? He's gonna spend 1 year in this Canada and it's not gonna get that. And the job that I even got was, I mean, it was like unspeakable to get that job, I haven't spent only about 3 months in Canada. It could only be through referrals. It wouldn't be through any other method. So referral is very key. And when I say referral, I don't mean just asking for the name of somebody and putting on your application. That's still paperwork. Referral is somebody who works in that organization giving your resume to the hiring manager. That's referral. Now, whether it's fair or not, you need to have employees. I hope you get that. These are some of the things you're going to take away from what I'm doing here. Whether it's fair or not, a lot of people tell me, oh, I didn't know they do this in Canada. As I said earlier, it's about trust. They don't trust our Canadian, previous work experience. They only trust Canadian work experience, as you already know. So that in itself is not even fair. Okay, that's what they call discrimination. It's blatant discrimination. So if that is not fair, how do you want me to now say that somebody referring me is not fair? Oh, it is fair, because if you would not consider my experience because I don't have Canadian work experience, then I better get a way that my resume is considered and I'm considered for an interview because I have the experience, regardless. And the point here is that this is even coming from, second here. Okay, so yeah, like I was saying, whether it's fair or not, you have employees to make referrals for you if you want to find a job. That's an HR consultant, and that's a gatekeeper right there saying this to you. I don't know where else you want to say this to you. This is an HR consultant, a gatekeeper, telling you you need to get employees to make referrals for you if you want to find a job in Canada. Simply said that way. Now, refer candidates are twice refer candidates are twice as likely to land an interview. That is very critical. A lot of people are throwing resumes out there, and like I told you, there's a pyramid. There's a pyramid. You need to be aware of that pyramid. If you are throwing your resume to the black hole in the top of that pyramid, you're not going to hear anything back. But if your resume is going through the bottom of that pyramid, you're going to hear something back. And I'll tell you this, most of the people that I've helped, it was through referral, one way or the other. The very first person I helped, when I started, providing services, it was a civil engineer, it was a project manager with ExxonMobil in Nigeria. The job he got here in Canada is also a project manager with Technip FMC in Edmonton. And I'll tell you how it happened. The way it worked out was this. I was working with him already, and all of a sudden he told me, oh, you already went for an interview. Well, wait a minute, what happened? He said a colleague, a former ex-colleague, heard his boss saying that he's been trying to fill this role, and all the resume he has been getting are all garbage. And the guy said, because I already told him about this referral thing too. And the guy said, look, I have a friend, we work together in ExxonMobil, Nigeria, and it's a very good guy, very good guy. The boss just sent me his resume. Within a week, this guy got a job. Within a week after that. And you know what I told him after they got him and they sent him an offer? They said he should go and apply online. How about that? The people are waiting for it. If you are lining up where the gatekeepers are holding you back, it's your fault. Okay. Because what is happening, what I just said right there, is that the hiring manager knows who he wants to work with and he has decided it. But the gatekeeping people still want him to go through a process. How about that? We give you your process. Go and send an application online now that you have the job offer. How about that? How fair is that? So this is what is going on in the job search market here in Canada. I will say it again. A lot of people that I've helped, 90% of them are through referrals. Okay. Now, for those who make it to the interview stage, the referral candidates had a 40% better chance of being hired than other applicants. Of course, because that person has crossed the trust barrier. You know, it's a situation which I've also seen with some of my clients where, oh, they're very great candidates. They even told them during the interview that they were really impressed. But you know what? They hired somebody else. Why? It wasn't a referred candidate. there was somebody who is also an insider who is also looking to get that job, that pyramid again. Who do you think they will go for? This guy doesn't have anybody referring him. They don't even know him. They just feel like, oh, he's a great guy. He had this experience, blah, blah, blah. But guess what? We have somebody who is working with us already for the past 1 year. Maybe that's a contract staff or whatever. But oh, you know what? That's the person who went for instead of you. Now we actually went back to ask hiring manager what is going on, and hiring manager actually told us that this guy has a communication issue. That they were struggling with some of the things he's saying. The communication piece came again. Um, One of it has to be that this guy he has accent, of course. Who doesn't have? I have my accent as well. So and everybody has accent. If Canadians should go to United States, they'll pick them out. They'll say this guy has a Canadian accent. So everybody's got it. It's just sometimes some people use it as a kind of a way to to justify why they're not hiring somebody else. But they wouldn't write it on paper because, of course, it could be seen as discrimination. So that's why you get all this kind of what I call it. I call it lay on feedback, where they won't really tell you what is going on. But the thing is that you need to figure it out for yourself because you are the one in this situation. And this is where I say that you have a very high influence on your job search. If you stop looking at it from a paperwork angle, if you stop looking at it from the way that the HR has told you it works, it doesn't work that way. In the real world, that's the pyramid I've just shown you earlier. Now, let's go to 80-20 rule. This is also one of the lean concepts. Basically, what he's saying here is that, and it applies to everything that you can ever imagine. It's about resource management, basically, is what it is. So, what we're saying here in the 80-20 rule is about 20%, just 20% of your effort drives roughly 80% of the impact that leads to a successful job search. So, if you have been laboring in your job search, actually, only 20% of that labor actually would get you the job that you want. Someone say, can we get a recorded version of this seminar? No, it will be available on demand. So if you have access to it already, you still have access to it, till whenever, and I also will make it available on my YouTube as well. I'll share the YouTube version with you if that helps. It's a way for me to control my content. I'll put it on YouTube and I'll share the link with you. Okay, so 80-20 rule. Basically, what 80-20 rule is saying is that we need to manage our resources if we want to get quicker to our goals. Remember, this is about the lean job search. The lean job search today is a challenge to you that you can get a job in your profession within 90 days. The only way you can achieve that is to focus on the 20% of your efforts that actually would get you the result. Because if you just keep on doing everything, regardless, it's just a waste. I'll give you an example. Only 20% of what I'm going to say here today will actually be impactful for you. Just so you know. So just watch out for those key things that are 20% of all I'm saying that will really get you the result that you want. Okay, so here's for the Pareto rules for lean job search. Leverage referrals, that is, use referrals. You already saw it in your post. More people are getting jobs through family and friends, and you don't have to limit yourself to family and friends, of course. This is Canada. You hardly know anybody here, right? So you need to reach out to the industry to get new people that you're gonna be working with as friends, as colleagues, as mentors and all that. Actually, mentor is the key word for you right there. You need to reach out the industry, find people who are already doing what you want to do. They have the same job title as you. Reach out to these people. Let them know that you're new. You're looking to, get insights from them as to how they have been able to break into the industry. You're asking them about the story of their lives. They will be interested. Something I've done over and over. There's a psychological background to that. Everybody's wired up for stories. So if you ask them about the story of their life, they'll take interest in you as well. So here, leverage referrals. Short resume. 99% of resume end up in a trash can, courtesy of ATS. And if you go back to the 80-20 rule, what is going on here is that The HR people also understand that when they get 1,000 resumes, only about less than 20% of those resumes actually make sense. Okay, so this is the reason why they are using the applicant tracking software. I'm going to show you the applicant tracking software, like a simulation of it. For those of you who, I think I only got one or two resumes. And so the HR people are trying to also cut down on waste of their resources. They don't want to have their resources that are limited, just reviewing garbage of resumes. So they use the ATS to screen out all the resumes that are not matching the keywords on their job posting. So this is what is happening. This is the reason why you're not getting any response from anybody. This is why you send these thousands of resumes and nobody responds to you, because they've handled they are automating the exceptions. The exceptions here being the resumes that are not matching well the job postings, so they don't get to see that, and this is why you're not hearing from anybody. I developed a solution here called Sort Resume, and if we have time, I'm gonna show it to you. Leverage feedback. Feedback is very, very key. Like I said, this is about lean job search, because if you don't leverage feedback, you're gonna be wasting your time. You're gonna be, hitting your head against the wall, getting frustrated. But if you do get feedback, you know, okay, what am I doing wrong? What can I do differently? One of my clients recently who actually got a job after 2 years of survival jobs. When I engaged her, one of the things that she told me, confided in me, like, "Oh, Abby, am I gonna get this job?" Like she's done already. Like she was already tired of it, and I let him to understand that, look, if you don't do something differently from the way you have been doing it, then how do you expect a different result? Well, she signed up, and then we worked together. Within 30 days she actually got an offer. Okay, she got an offer back as far back as in October. She signed up September, and she got a job offer. But the CEO just said, okay, we don't have a very active assignment right now, so they just gave her the offer recently, which I also share with you guys. So feedback is very important. That's why you need a mentor. I don't care who your mentor is. You can go work with somebody else. Just need to get a mentor, somebody who provides constant feedback to you on how to do things differently so that I can get the results you want. Here is one major one also. This one of the 20% of this 20%. Okay, remember we're talking about Pareto rules of job search. This very one, our mindset, it's in fact it affects anything. It affects anything. So that's why I keep emphasizing this. Before your success in anything happen, before it manifests, it has to happen here. If it doesn't happen inside, it's not going to manifest. It's not like I'm cursing. No. It is the way it works. That's the way the world works. If you are not convinced, if your belief system is not helping you, then no matter how you try, it's not just going to work. And the challenges we have here is that a lot of foreign trained professionals have gone through these things already. When I showed you it at the beginning, they've gotten into the job search depression phase. And when they are here, their belief system has already been broken. That's the truth. Their belief system is broken because they tried all that they thought they should try in order to get results, but they are not getting it apparently because they are not believing again. Whatever you tell them, they're not going to believe you because they're already broken. And this is very dangerous. Just a second. Okay, so I was talking about our belief systems. You know what? When we go through those challenges in the beginning, and this is the reason why I always tell people you have to get a job within 90 days, because if you don't do, what will happen is that your belief system is going to get broken. Your mindset is going to be affected because, we're all human beings. We have emotions. And when you go through all these upheavals of emotions, you're excited all of a sudden, that crashes down to disappointments. All of a sudden, oh, you have a new hope because somebody called you for an interview. It's what is happening here are chemicals. These chemicals are messing you up. And what is going to happen as a result in the end is that you're not going to believe again. You're just going to feel like, well, I'm done with this thing. I'll just go and face my survival jobs. And if you continue that for the next 1, 2 years, God forbid, you might not be able to turn around back and get things done the proper way. So that's why I always say 90 days, 90 days, deal within 90 days. The worst that'll happen is if you don't get it done within the 90 days, you can get it done within 6 months. And I've seen people like that, even though they were not able to do it within 90 days, they got it done within 6 months, which is okay. They got a result. That's what is important, right? But that 90 days helps you to be able to go through some kind of a crash course or a kind of intense, you know, um, process where when you come out of that, you are transformed. That's really the whole point of it. Transformation is really the key thing here when you go through the 90 days because now you know how to do things differently and you know what will get you results. So these things here are the Pareto rules. These are the things that if you do them, you're absolutely gonna get result within 90 days. And I've done it with a lot of people, and I have those results to show you, and it works. So this is the way Kaizen. I call it job search Kaizen. Job search Kaizen just about job search continuous improvement. Because the other thing also with most of us is the way we've been trained. Our schooling has told us that everything has to be a big bang. Like a step change, like, oh, you were poor yesterday, you're rich today. That's the kind of thing that a lot of us have been bombarded with. But success doesn't happen that way. And this is why I bring the Kaizen mindset. The Kaizen mindset, it's telling you that you have to do this thing in small steps, and as you're doing in small steps, you're creating you're making preparation for a big waves that happens within a short period. Whereas if you have been focusing on the big bang, oh, the miracle is going to happen tomorrow. Guess what? It will never happen. But the terrible thing about that is that your belief system is going to be broken. But rather, if you approach things from the small, little, quick wins, things like that, before you know it, you will just have built such momentum that that change you're looking for just has no choice but to happen. So this is what Kaizen mindset is all about. It's about learning rather than failing. They are both the same thing in Kaizen. You're failing, but you're not seeing it as failing, rather you're seeing it as learning. This is what is going on in Kaizen. I just have to emphasize that. Referrals. Get referrals through your relationships networks before applying to a job. I always emphasize if you're not getting referrals and you say you're doing Kaizen, nah, you're not doing Kaizen. And a lot of people come through my program and they still want to do things the same way. Oh yeah, well, I guess that we'll figure this out. Because what happens to them is that they will fall out of the process because they are not doing it the way we have told them to do it. Okay, let's see. I think I'll answer some question here. How would you take advantage of referral, especially for new immigrant professional? I said it already. For a new immigrant, the way you can get referrals is get in touch with people who have the titles that you are targeting. So if I'm a project manager, apparently I want to reach out to somebody who is a project manager within the targeted industry. So if I was a project manager in oil and gas, I want to reach out to project managers who are in oil and gas here who are professional, especially those who also came from a different country and they're now project managers. Those people understand what you're going through, and actually those people are the ones that are most likely to give you audience because they've been there. They understand what is going on and they can help you to build your network. So from them, let's say you start with one person who has the same title as yours, automatically you've connected with thousands of other people like that because they also have their own network here in Canada and they've built their network over time. Say, for example, me, for example, I have a group of professionals, supply chain professionals who, so today I think we're around 200 and we have a WhatsApp group. So, I mean, imagine you come into Canada and you reach out to me as a procurement person. That moment you connected with me, you already connected with the 200 other people that are in my network who are within my close network like that. So this is the way it works. You have to reach out to people who have a job title you're targeting and the industry you're targeting because that way you don't waste your effort just running after everybody else is scatter where you're not getting any result anyways. Um, Hello, Abiodun. How can I sign up for your service? Yeah, I'll provide some links. I have two different services. I'll provide some links to help you if you want to sign up. I can help you just assessing, your situation as it is, and that's one service I could do. I also could actually help you fix your resume to match up with the Canadian standard, and also to include some specific things that hiring managers are looking for. Yes, I have talked to quite a number of hiring managers, and they tell me these are the things that are important for them to see. So I can do that, and we can create a SWOT resume. I actually call it a SWOT resume. That's the name of the service. And then also, I'm actually thinking of a kind of a boot camp for the guys who are online here. If it's something you're interested in, we could actually do one over next week evenings for those who are available in the evenings, and we can do one just an entire Saturday we could do one as well. So that's what, but I'll share the links with you if anyone who is interested, maybe by the end of the session. So let's move on. So research companies and your industry. So that's actually me answering the question I just somebody just asked now. Research companies and your industry. Go to and LinkedIn is actually a tool that was made for that. LinkedIn is a tool that you can use to scale the process I described earlier, where you reach out to people within your network, because those people have other people in their network who are based in the location where you're going to land. And also, guess what? They're also members of groups that might be of importance to you, like maybe the professional association groups that is in LinkedIn, because in LinkedIn, you'll have some groups as well in LinkedIn. And knowing that person or reaching out to that person, you can go through their groups, the groups that they are part of their interest, and then be able to know important groups that you also need to join, because that's also places where you would see people of interest that you can network with, and they can become your mentors as well. Okay, so SWOT applications, I talked about SWOT just now. You need to do SWOT applications, whereas basically SWOT application involved SWOT resume and SWOT cover letter is actually what I call a quality assurance. The ATS, we have a simulation of ATS, which I hope to show you. Simulation of ATS, which is basically job scan. I don't know if you heard about job scan. This thing will look at your resume, compare with a job posting, and then tell you, oh, you missed this, missed that. But for me, that's quality control. If you are somebody who is familiar with, maybe you're in project management or your operations management, you understand what I'm talking about. Quality control is reactive. That's what JobScan does. It's reactive. And it is a lot of waste of time too sometimes, if you're trying to do it manually. And also it's garbage in, garbage out. It's a computer system. So if you suggest something to you and those things don't make sense to human beings, yeah, I guess what you just messed up your resume right there. But there's a quality assurance which I introduce into what I'm doing, which I call a SWOT profiling. Is basically taking a job posting and breaking it down into checklists that you then use in crafting your resume. And that way you have a quality assurance on your resume rather than just throwing into a job scan that send out some stuff and tell you to put in here and then it still doesn't make sense to hire a manager. So that's the downside of using job scan, by the way. Track and monitor, I talked about this as well. This is also one thing you have to do. You have to know if this thing is getting a result. Say for your example, your resume. You have to set goals, smart goals. Like what are the things that you have to be doing on a daily basis. This is actually project management. This is the Kaizen, the core Kaizen part of what we are doing here. And then there's building relationships. I tell people relationship is key. If you go through a recruitment process and you do not get a job, how about you connect with people that you met through that process? Because relationship will provide benefits on long-term basis. Job search, job application is a transaction. Okay, building relationship, building your work network is the key thing. Is the key thing because you don't know where you're gonna meet those people tomorrow. Or you don't know how you're gonna they're gonna be of benefit to you. Maybe even in different areas. You never know. So you need to connect with people that you're meeting as you go through the job search journey. It's a journey. It's not something that should be looked at as a transaction. If you look at it as a transaction, the tendency is you will not be learning from that process. But if you look at it as a, if you look at it from a journey perspective, as you're going through that process and you're appreciating what you're going through, you're learning from whatever is going on, you're tracking, you're doing all of these things, then you will be gaining benefits on a long-term basis. So I'm gonna leave this. This is just my own theoretical stuff about the lean job search. So I created the disruptive for people who want to go into entrepreneurial, activities. So this is not for people want to become consultants basically. So because there are different types of employment. There's an employment where you want to be an employee to somebody, or there's a different one for people who want to become consultants. Like they want to become independent consultant. And these are the people that created disruptive approach for. The people who want to become employees, those are the ones working on Kaizen. The contingent referral is basically job search online. It's just basically looking for people to give you referrals while you're applying online. So it's this whole basket of these things. But I've only simplified it so far for people who would like to just get something immediately. Here it is. The confidence I have in actually sharing all of these things with you is because I know that if you don't apply within the next 30 days, you're gonna forget everything. This is why you see there's so much confidence with a lot of us online. We share our insights because we know until you actually put it to work, it's not gonna work. So if you don't want to forget this, I guess I'll encourage you to see whatever shape or form you can work with me. You could do, like the assessment. Assessment just show you where you are, like what you could do differently. I'll make suggestions as, oh, do this, do this, do that. Maybe on your resume and your LinkedIn. But there's also SWOT where you can actually create a resume that now works. That gets you the job. And then there are different ones, like the one I call the industry approach. The industry approach is actually the way you get a referral. So I actually developed a methodology for that, for the industry approach. So those are the kind of things I help with. If you just want LinkedIn and that's all you care about, yeah, you do that too. So do we have another question? How do you manage nervousness during an interview? Okay, so here is one thing I'll tell you about nervousness during interview. That's from Kamaruddin. Well, nervousness, it's I'm not a doctor, but I actually went deep into these things. When you are nervous, what is going on is that you are afraid of failing. Okay, so there is this response from our system. There's this response from our neural pathways. It's called I think it's called the um, parasympathetic nervous system. So which responds by like pushing blood all over the place, and your breath, your breathing increase, and panicky and all that. So the way you can address that is very simple. Two things. You need a smile. Okay, you want to smile. Then second thing, you want to breathe. Breathing actually is the key thing, because breathing helps you to access the nervous system in a way that it reverses your nervousness. So there are different techniques for breathing. You can search it on YouTube. You can search for deep breathing on YouTube, and that will be a very good technique for you to be able to handle such things. So it will be something you do prior to going into the interview. You just do that thing, and then you see that you will calm down a little bit, and then you'll be able to move on. Because what I've seen with interviews is that the moment you sat down for that interview, that nervous, even you're talking, and it happens to everybody. So don't get it wrong that it's only you. It happens to even professionals, people who are very experienced. Like I said, is a nervous system response. So when it's just telling you not to fail. Okay, it's telling you to be anxious because the moment it does that, then all your signals are way up to let you know that you have to pay attention right now. So it happens to everybody, but we just have to control it basically by breathing deep and then smiling. Is one of the things that I use, especially when I'm talking into a live audience. I use smiling and I use breathing before I go for that event. Okay, so that's it. I hope that answered your question. Okay, let's move on. So I actually, the 90 days thing that I talk about, I implement it as a project because I'm a project manager. We do an assessment, coaching, training. Training is optional because you know what, for training, it probably be things that you do not really need for the sake of the job support, things that can enhance, your potential to be able to get jobs sooner. What's the time here? 4:49. Wow. So are required for that job posting. So you have it. Great. So it can go on your resume, right? But what if you don't have it? Then it becomes your weakness. And the challenge with resume is that you can't write your weakness on your resume, right? That means you don't get the job. So what you do with a weakness is you actually address it on your cover letter. You can address it in a positive manner. Oh, so they're asking for a particular requirement. Oh, how about I actually have a knowledge of this thing, maybe from a training, you can address it in a cover letter that way. Or maybe you actually are going through uh, some videos that helps you to know more about that particular thing that they have asked for. It achieves two things. That keyword is there because you mentioned that thing, though you don't have it. And then at the same time, so a human being is reviewing your application, at least they can see what you're doing about that weakness. Okay, so we go to opportunities. So opportunities really are the values, the cultures, the projects that these companies are working on. Okay, so you want to make sure you align with that, because it's a cultural fit kind of a thing that they probably be looking out for in your application. So they will see it on the cover letter and they also see it on the resume, the way you write your resume, and also you put in all the keywords there, the keywords that they have on their resume. That helps you greatly with this is what I call it quality assurance. It helps you greatly with your application because you're matching all the keywords right off the bat. You don't have to go and wait for a job scan to do that. And most of the time, job scan don't do it well enough that you will be spending a lot of time to, figure that out. Thread. So finally, thread is it's about how you demonstrate your ability. It's about your value proposition. So you're just not writing a cover letter just for writing cover letter's sake. You are writing a cover letter to position yourself as a solution to their problem. But that means you have to identify their problem first. And what I've seen is that when you actually do the SWOT profiling, I talk about like breaking that job posting down into checklists. It will so obvious to ignore their problems, the problem they are struggling with, because a lot of the time is that they will mention it several times on that job posting. Then they have an issue there. Then you see some words they'll say ensure, ensure, ensure. Well, they're having an issue there. That's the reason why they are saying ensure. Or sometimes, they could. I've seen a very funny job posting where this person was like they were ranting in the job application. I mean, the job posting about a particular issue, and they're saying you better have that thing. So it means that they have some kind of struggle in that area, and this is the reason why they're actually looking for somebody to help them. So it is your job to identify what those problems are, and then to make sure you specifically address it. And there are very strategic ways to do that on your resume, and this is what we do in the SWOT resume, in the SWOT application, both on the resume and the cover letter. Here is what it looks like tactically. We'll do a SWOT profile, and then we'll do a SWOT resume based on that SWOT profile, using it as a quality assurance tool. And then after that, we'll do a cover letter. I will put in all the necessary ingredients for the application. And then we look for a referral. So we need to go inside that company. We use LinkedIn, and we'll fish out somebody who actually works in that company who is ready to speak to us. There are different ways to go about it. If nobody is willing to reach out to us, well, we can search for the hiring manager himself on LinkedIn using his job title, because sometimes even in that job posting, oh, you'll be reporting to so, oh, now you know job title of that person. So it's not to go and look for that person on LinkedIn. Sometimes it doesn't work still. So what we do is we try to figure out the email address of that. There are some tools, very advanced tools that they use for that. You figure out the email address of that person. There was one recently where I actually went to the website. I was working for one of my clients to get a referral, and then I went on the website of that company, and I saw the vice president actually of the department where that person is applying to, and I reached out. I connected with him, and he connected because I told him exactly what I'm looking for. Of course, these things, there are techniques to this thing, because if you just send anyhow email or anyhow connection request, they're not going to connect. So there are very key ingredients that need to go into your connection request for them to be able to respond to you. So peer check. Here you have your mentor, you have job scan, you can use it as your peer check. But like I told you, job scan is a quality control. It doesn't really serve a great purpose for what we're doing. Of course, there's also grammar check. So this is the tool that we use for SWOT applications. So I think I have another question. Do I? No. Okay, so we don't have any other question. Okay, yeah, I think we're done with all the questions. Okay, so that's how SWOT works. Yeah, I'm gonna skip all that. So yeah, I think the one thing I can quickly do here, just so for the benefit of those who have gotten there, I think I got a resume from just one person. So I use JobScan to actually access, how good that resume was. So let me quickly display, just to let you know that, uh, yeah, a lot of resumes that people are sending needs some work, So let me see. And just to let you know that, there's no cause for alarm. I've done this a lot of times, and I've seen that generally people, so yourself, if you see this, I think, so I can show you the job title for this one is technical analyst. So I don't know if you can see what I'm sharing, but I will try it again. I think it's this. No, it's not that one. Okay, this one here, right here. So here is an ATS right there for you if you have been wondering what a job scan does. So here is a job scan. The job title here is for Wale. So I won't give the last name. So technical analyst, that's the job title. So what I've done here, I scanned both the person's email address. I mean, the person's see, here it is. So it's the person job title and the person's the job posting, actually the person is trying to apply to, and then also the resume. So I match both, and then this result here, 30%. Okay. So what this means is that this person, the chance that you're going to be called for an interview is very slim. Look at what expectation we have here. We have expectation of 80%. So we want 80% of the keywords in your resume to match that on the job description. And that's when you can really get a human being to look at your resume. Like I said earlier, they're also using the Pareto rule. They don't want to be reviewing every resume, so they basically will screen out everything that is below 80%, so that they can focus on the resumes that actually will help them with what they're working on. So it's not personal. Sometimes it's just about you need to fix your resume. Yeah, the categories of the different things. Usually the skills match is really where the issues are, which quickly show you. As you can see, there are a lot of things that are missing on this person's resume, that were on the job posting. Does it mean that this person doesn't know how to write a resume? No. Sometimes it's just that the ATS thing is very finicky, and it just kind of look for all these words exactly the way they are written, on a job posting. If it's not written exactly that same way, even if it's an error, okay, if it's a typo, then it's gonna still mark it as, and like, and that's what I mean by garbage in, garbage out for job scan, because then it means even if it's something that is not making any sense, then it's still being finicky about that. So that's job scan for you. Just as an example, as you can see there. So Wale gave me this technical analyst. As you can see, this is your score, 30%. As a matter of fact, the scores that I've gotten, I've done 100 of this, 100 of resume scanning, and for the most part, average has always been between 25% to 35%. So to tell you the quality of resumes that are out there. And it's not really about the quality of resume, but it's about did the person specifically write that resume for that job posting. So there are chances that if they didn't write it for that job posting, uh, it's gonna be low in terms of the uh, you know in terms of their score. So that's it for job scan. The other thing I wanted to show, actually, I wanted to show you. I hope I'll be able to do that. I want to show you the tool that we use there. So this is Slack. So we use this is the tool that we actually use for my community of supply chain professionals, and I also use it for my clients, people who work with me. So this is the job posting. So one thing we do here really is to make this a checklist, and I'll show you how that works quickly. So here it is. I'm gonna break this down into checklist. So here is what I'll do here. I'm just gonna highlight this. So I have this toolbar here. I'm just gonna turn this into a checklist. So I've turned into a checklist that way, you see. But actually, I don't need all of these ones. The ones that I need actually is the ones where they start talking about the company. So yeah, the Manitoba government recognizes. So here I use the keywords that I use to create my checklist are verbal prompts. So if I see anything that is a verb, then it becomes a checklist. So here it is, recognizes the importance of building an exemplary public service reflective of the city it serves. Okay. So here they're talking about their, as you can see now, they're talking about their culture or their vision or whatever, all those things. And drives. So here now I'm using another keyword that I see. Yeah, drives a high standard of service and innovation. That becomes a checklist. Supports, okay, you can see that. That becomes a checklist. Supports equitable employment practices and promotes. That's another checklist right there. Promotes representation of designated groups. Okay. I'm gonna have to do. So let me skip that. The one that I think is very critical here is the one they call essentials. The good thing here is that you have bullet points. Okay. So I'm gonna break this down into a checklist again. This is usually very easy because of course this is a bullet point already actually, so it's gonna be easy for me to make it a checklist because it's a bullet point. So you see, so what I'll do is I'll just click on checklist. So this become bullet points. But what I've also observed is that these things, a lot of times they're these sentences combines a lot of things that are very important. So I still break this down further. So yeah, it's a post-secondary education, information technology, or an equivalent combination of training and experience. So I can break this down into equivalent combination of training and experience. Extensive experience providing, see, that's another checklist right there. Providing end user technical support and training related to computers, mobile devices, blah, 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 blah. So you can decide to actually break this down, so that you can make sure that you don't miss anything. And so I can break it down with those commas, right? Mobile devices, peripheral equipment. So it depends on how important these things are based on your own experience as somebody who is working in that field. Experience in implementing, that's another keyword there. Implementing, configuring, managing software applications. blah blah blah. You have all these long lists here of all the different type of softwares that you should be versing. You can actually make all of this a checklist, because if they are that important for them to mention it in their job posting, then it become a checklist. So you want to make sure that you have all these things on your resume, is what it is, you know data analysis software, Microsoft 365, Microsoft Exchange. So all of these things, what happens is that when you're doing your resume, when you put these things in your resume, you come here and do a check like you've done it, right? So this is what I mean by quality assurance. As you're working on your resume, you're coming here to actually then uh, do this. I'm not sure. Okay, so this is another person. I'm not sure how. Okay, yeah, I think this is it, right? Uh, yeah, this is I think it's a person's resume. But even when you look at his resume, you see that some of it, this person wrote a lot of technical skills, right? But are these technical skills the thing that they are highlighting in the job posting? This is what determines how they score in job scan. Because if they don't have this, regardless of what their experience are and how many of those things that they have stated here, then there's an issue, because now the job scan would not see these things for counting towards the score, for them to be able to pick up by a human being. So this reason why we use this first, to make sure that when you're writing your resume, you start from putting all these important things before you go to a job scan to actually now scan. The other thing here is this: all of these things that they are saying are essentials. Well, you better make sure that when you're writing your resume, they are the first things that they have to see, like here. They have to see them here. Like a lot of people wait until the end of the resume to put in the bragging points. The hiring managers wants to see your accomplishments. All of these things, they're great, but they're just activities. So tell me, what have you achieved in the past 6 years experience you've had? I'm not seeing it here already. And if I'm not seeing it here, well, I better go to the next resume. Maybe I'll find some, because I wouldn't have to scroll through all of this to be able to find what I'm looking for. What we already mentioned to you right off the bat are very important, essential. That's what we call it. Some of them will call it qualification. So these things needs to show up at the very top of your resume. You need to address them specifically, mentioning what those things that they are asking for, how you have gotten them, and what they are. If they are not stating them right, their potential is that you won't be picked, because they scan these resumes, right? Even after job scan, they scan these resumes. So you have to make sure all of the things are in the right places, or otherwise they'll just they scan a few seconds and they're gone. They're gone to another resume. So you don't want to end up having your resume being thrown out, even though you've scaled through job scan. You see that dilemma? Though you got 80% on job scan, but then you didn't put your resume, or your resume, you didn't put the content in the right place for them to see, so they know you are the qualified candidate for the role. Okay, I'm gonna stop at that. I don't know if we still have time, because I know I've spent quite a lot of time here. We started at 3 o'clock. I'm not sure if there are still questions, guys. There is another one that I would have shown you if we had time. It's called that's the industry approach. Actually, that has to do with how you network within the industry. Okay, so we have a question. Can we utilize the boot camp? So I'm gonna share the link for the boot camp. Whoever is interested, I'm looking. I can accommodate about 10 people in the boot camp, and you just sign up if it's something you're interested in, where I can go into all these details. Okay, so maybe finally, let me just show you. I think we went through this already, but I couldn't see. Yeah, so these are the guys that I helped. So here is a newcomer. Canadian job market seem much complicated to me. Apparent suggestion and guidance were really so valuable that I managed to get a job in my own field of specialization in Canada within 3 months. Okay. And then this is the guy I was telling you about. This was actually the very first guy that I helped. About Care earns my highest recognition for his ability to guide and motivate international training professionals to remain focused on securing a job in their field in Canada. He applied the Kaizen